Hey YouTube, this is Jay Storm coming from Team Shadow Strike, and in this video, I am going to be bringing you a deck profile that a lot of people have been asking me. I've gotten messages, and I've got a lot of questions, just like, why haven't you done this? You haven't done this clan in, like, forever. Shadow Paladin. Now, let me explain something to you. I have literally been... For a long time, I have had 4 copies of Blaster Dark Abyss and 3 Phantom Blaster Abyss in my possession. Back when when Abyss first came out, literally these just continued to fall into my lap. And I just told myself, I'm really not going to spend the money to hunt them down. I really don't want them that much. There was just other things that I wanted. And there were people who had never played Shadow Paladin before who literally bandwagoned this deck because it was winning. And I just refused to build it because it's like I didn't see the point of showing you guys another Phantom Blaster Abyss Break Ride deck. I play 4 Abyss, I play 4 Mordred, I play 4 of each Blaster Dark, and then 3 vanguard, and then I play 4 Revenger Perfects. It's like, did you guys really need that? I mean, really? I mean... It's like if you wanted to see that deck profile, it was all over the fucking place. You didn't need to see it from me. So I kind of just held on to them. And I was like, you know what? I'll hold on to Abyss. And whenever another unit comes along that I like that's in Shadow Paladin, I'll find a way to mix the two of them. I don't care how much people tell me it doesn't work. I'm going to find it. And then Claret's sword got announced. And go ahead and turn the video off because you are absolutely right. I took Claret Sword Dragon, and I mixed it with Abyss, and I've had so many people tell me, there's no way that'll work, and you know what? Shut the fuck up. I am so sick and tired of hearing of the Shadow Paladin fanboys. Now, if you have been with Shadow Paladin from the beginning, like my friend Siren, like my friend Zach, and like my friend Mario has been, that's not directed at you, because you started playing Shadow Paladin when they were not even relevant. I mean... As much as I want to say that the original Shadow Paladin was relevant, it really wasn't. Because Draconic Overlord the End was the thing when Set 5 rolled around, and Phantom Blaster Overlord, in my opinion, his cost is way too high. Counterblast 3 and Persona Blast for just 10k and a crit is quite a lot. But I found a way to make it work, and I have playtested this deck, and I've only lost with this deck once. I've never played it in tournament before, and I will tell you, there's only 2 cards in this deck that came out of the Ren Legendary deck, and neither one of them is any of the cards you would expect. One of them is one of the fucking crits, which was the Angel, just because I love the artwork, and 2 was Grim Recruiter. I do not play anything else from the Legend deck, including Diablo. I refuse to play Diablo. Blaster, because all Abyss Diablo is... All it is just the next stage of the fucking Mordred Abyss deck that we had forever. Oh, so you play 4 Blaster Dark Abyss and 4 Blaster Dark Diablo and 4 Abyss? Oh, wow, you are so original. So I just got so bored with it, guys, and I had no desire to build Shadows. I mean, and I love Shadow Paladin, guys. I remember going to my locals and being there the second they opened, literally the minute they opened, which was at 4 o'clock on Friday, and buying boxes to build the first Shadow Paladin deck. And I pulled an SP Phantom Blaster Dragon. I was stoked because I fucking loved how Blaster Dark looked. And I loved the Revengers. I loved Revenger Raging Form Dragon. He was my meta deck for a while. He was the tournament deck I was playing until I was waiting for Chaos Breaker to come out. And then, we got Cross Ride for Mordred, and then Abyss came out, and everybody fucking jumped on the Shadow Paladin fanboy wagon, and I just went, you know what? I'm not going to be a part of this group. You guys are only playing this deck because you know it wins, and I'm sorry, if you play a deck only because it wins, at least admit it. But, because there's people who, I know I'm not going to name names, who literally play this deck just because it wins. And I just don't like that. And so I literally, when I saw Claret Sword Dragon when he was very first played by Kanzaki, I was like, I like him. He looks absolutely awesome. I'm going to find a way. I said I'm going to find a way to make these two work. Just like I found a way to make the original Ezel and Pelennor work together. Even though everyone at my locals said, oh, Jaden, this can't work. I found a way to make it work. And I'm trying to get the rest of that stuff together to bring you an updated version of that now that there's been more support for Ezel. But that's going to be probably after set 4 happens. So don't hold your breath for that anytime soon. But I'm going to quit yakking. I'm going to get straight into this deck profile so we can talk about my Claret Abyss deck profile. Now, I will say before I start doing this deck profile, guys, if you want to get judgmental and start judging my deck and start pointing out that the problems that it's going to have, please just do me a favor and click the little red X and go fuck yourself. Because I am sick and tired of people, literally, there have been, I've shared this idea with people on Twitter, and I've lost, I literally haven't talked to people because I'm sick and tired of people's closed-mindedness. I just am. So if that came across a little strong, I am sincerely sorry. I really mean it, but I can't stand people who just, when they hear an idea, they don't give you a minute to elaborate on it. They just hear the topic and go, nope. You know, just bear with me. If you truly want to see how I make this deck work, then please continue watching. So let's get right into this deck profile. So for the starting vanguard I play is Promising Knight David. Now, Promising Knight David is, in my opinion, the best starter that you can be playing, especially if you're going to be abusing Aura Geyser Dragon in your G deck, because by playing this, it ensures that you're not having to sacrifice as much, and you can still leave your 2 columns fully formed, so you don't have to mess with them, and for that reason I play 2 David. Now, there are some people who play 3, but I think 3 is a little overdoing it, because by playing 3, because whenever you play 2 grade 0s, in my honest opinion, the best thing to do is cut one of your grade 1s, so instead of playing 14 grade 1s, play 13. But I wouldn't want to play a 3rd because that means I'd have to cut a grade 2 or another grade 1 or a grade 3, and I don't want to do any of that. 2 is all you need. Now, I know I said that I didn't use any cards out of the Ren Trial deck, or Legend deck, but now when the Damned comes out, there's another form of this that... well, I'll get to that at the very end. So anyway... Triggers, we play 4, Revenger, Undead Angel. Here's the critical trigger. I was not going to order these, but I really wanted them. But fortunately, my friend Zach, he ordered 4 of the legendary Ren decks, and he gave me a playset of the commons for free, which was really cool of him, so thanks, Zach. 2 Grim Revenger and 2 Revenger Air Raid Dragon. For 8 crits, we play 4 Freezing Revenger for our draw triggers, and 4 Healing Revengers for our heal triggers. So we play a complete Revenger lineup of triggers for the simple reason we might need to call one of them to sack off with our Abyss plays, because I do play a fair amount of Revengers in this deck, guys, but the deck is not complete Revenger. The only thing you really need in this deck to get Abyss off, because people forget, you don't need to have a complete Abyss field. You literally need an Abyss column, a Revenger column and a Revenger booster. That's all you need. And that's real easy to do with this deck. So for grade 1s, we play 4 Karma Collector. I do not play Revenger Perfects because this deck is Counterblast heavy, so I do play this to help me unflip damage, and plus, I like Karma Collector, and I like the unflipping thing that G-Perfects give us, so that's why I play them. 4 Barrier Troop Revenger Dorant, so everyone knows what this card is. He pairs with Blaster Dark Revenger so we can unflip damage, and that's the main reason it's in here. It helps me unflip more damage. I will show you a couple of things that I like to do later. Then we play our Forged Stride Enabler, so this lets us search out our Claret Sword Dragon, because Claret Sword is the first card I want to ride. So if I open up with Abyss, another grade 1 in this, I'll immediately ditch the Abyss and grab Claret, because Abyss is the finisher of this deck, and that's his sole purpose. And then I play one Revenger Dark Bond Trumpeter. And the reason for this is it kind of serves as a wild card. I've never had to use her effect at all. But that way, if I'm like just that one card away, I can call out one of my draw triggers to get an Abyss play off. But literally, guys, it has never, ever happened. Because I have access to get this out of the deck essentially for free, and she's literally in there just as a wild card. So grade 2s. We play 4 copies of Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss. Now, the unfortunate thing about this build, guys, is that it is rather expensive because, unfortunately, this guy still floats around $35, and then Abyss floats around 40 plus sometimes even. So this deck does it does have a heavy cost. So if you are looking for a Shadow Paladin deck to build that is budget friendly, this is definitely not it. But I'll a little more on that at the end. But anyway, this card, some people have cut down to 3, but I like playing the 4 because the thing that makes this card good is because he picks off boosters and starters, and that's really good. So that's why I play 4. Next, we play 4 Blaster Dark Revenger, and this is a given because, unfortunately, I really wasn't sure what other Revengers I wanted to play, but I decided to play this because it's just another unflip outlet. I don't use his skill that often, but I did use it a couple of times. And then for the final is I play 3 copies of what the hell? Android Revenger Terion. I really like pairing this with Abyss. And I'll show you more what I mean at the end. And then for grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Supremacy Black Dragon, Claret Sword Dragon, and thanks to my good friend Sam, I have an SP! So, Claret Sword skill, Generation Break 2, sacrifice 2 units and he gains 10,000 power and a crit. I don't use that skill a lot. I think I used it maybe once or twice because I just couldn't stride. And then his stride skill is whenever you stride over him, you may counterblast 1 and superior call any grade 1 out of the deck, and it gains 2,000 power. So he gives you some toolboxing, so that's good. And then obviously for our last grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Revenger Phantom Blaster Abyss. We all know what he does. Legions with Blaster Dark Abyss. After he attacks the Vanguard, counterblast 2, sack 3 Revengers, and stand back up. So that's pretty much all he does. And when he attacks the Vanguard, he gains +2. So not a whole lot of that needs to be said about him. So anyway, next for the G deck, and I'm even going to tell you how I'm going to update this once set 4 gets here. 2 Grim Recruiter. The only reason this is in here is because there really isn't another option. And plus, Grim Recruiter is a good card. I'm not denying that. And plus, I do like him because he's kind of like, he's basically a reverse of Galblade for Royal Paladin. And so I do like it. I do like the idea of having some grade 1 superior calling outlets outside of Claret Sword. So 1 Dark Knight Ephanetian. Ephanetian's ability is whenever you stride with him, sack 1 unit, and Ephanetian gains 7,000 power, and then if Ephanetian's attack hits a Vanguard, you can destroy one of your opponent's rear guards. He's in there just as another option. I like my extra deck to have options, and which is why I also play the 1 Blizza, just because I like Blizza. Blizza is so good. I think he should be a 1 of in almost any G deck. And then for the final grade 4 stride, whatever you want to call it, is I play 4 copies of Supremacy Black Dragon or a Geyser Dragon. These 2 cards are the sole reason I built this deck. It has absolutely nothing to do with with Abyss. Abyss is just the I found a way to use Abyss, because I've had Abysses for a while. Literally, the only thing I had to do, guys, is I had to trade for the last Abyss, and that I can do. But I absolutely love Aura Geyser Dragon, so I'll go ahead and read him just for the fun of it. So anyway, when this unit attacks a vanguard, you may pay the cost of Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, and Persona Flip. If you do, reveal the top... Oh, and sack 2 rear guards. If you do, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. This unit gets plus 5,000 for each grade 1 or less card revealed with this effect until the end of turn, and put the rest of the cards into your hand. So essentially, you're going to be adding 5 cards to your hand with his attack through his effect and the triple drive. So that's good. Now, the thing that is going to change when the Damned comes out is literally those 2 are going to become Dams. That's what's going to change. I will still play the 1 Grim Recruiter, the 1 Ephanetian, the 4 Aura Geyser, and 2 Damned. That is what I will do. So, if you're, but I will still be doing a deck profile on it for you guys. So, for those of you who want to see it. So now, let me explain to you a couple of things that I like doing with this deck. This deck plays extremely passive, and I set it up like that. So, let's say for my grade 1, my grade 1 ride, technically, I would like to ride Karma Collector every single time, because then when I use Aura Geyser's skill, it gives me access to the unflipping as quick as possible. So first turn, that's generally what all I'll do. For some weird reason, for my second turn, this seems to be what I do quite a bit. Because for whatever reason, the Blaster Dark Abyss specifically likes to float to my hand. I'll call this and pop their booster. Or if they don't have a booster, I'll just hold on to this and then just attack again. And then if, say, they're grade stuck or I'm just not ready to stride, I'll start calling a field and do a grade 2 thing with them, because you can do that pretty well with this deck. Then let's say I'm ready to go Claret. The thing I like about Aura Geyser, and I didn't mention it, is you don't have to. You can go into him first. You don't have to stride into anything else first. You can literally go straight to Aura Geyser. So let's say I stride into Aura Geyser. I like to use Claret's Sword if I have a Blaster Dark Revenger in my hand to call a Dorant, and then call the Blaster Dark a Revenger, and I basically got Dorant out for free. Because the way that I set this deck up is I always want to have a Revenger only column. And that's what this gives me. And then literally, I'll just do this, Soul Blast the Perfect Guard, sack my David, get 2 free cards, then do my triple drive, and then do this. And that's generally what I like to do, and I'll build up a lot of advantage. Now, let's say let's say it's time to go into Abyss. Let's just say the field looks something like that. In a perfect world, this is what I'd want. Because I'll Legion. And then if I have the 4 unflip damage, and that's real easy to get with Karma Collector and the Dorant combos, and I'll activate both Android's abilities. And then I'll go 16. And say they only have, you can kind of mix it up a little bit in either way, but let's say, okay, attack here, and then 22, 27. Now, since my Vanguard isn't Legion, and he just attacked, both Androids kick off, because whenever I Legion, I can counterblast 1, and then anytime my Legioned Vanguard attacks this turn, my opponent has to sacrifice 1 unit, or they cannot guard. So what this does is now they have to sacrifice 2 units before they can even start guarding. And if they don't, they just can't guard, period. So they have to sack 2. Okay, say they sack 2, and then they perfect guard it. Okay, do my twin drive. Sack my 3 Revengers. Stand up. Attack again. you know, and triggers will be added on sometimes. They still have to sacrifice for both androids because android gives that skill to the vanguard and he's attacking again. So before they start guarding his second attack, they have to sacrifice 2 units off their board again. And then they'll have another column to be concerned with. So that's literally what this deck does. And I know it sounds extremely simple, but because of this card right here, and this card right here, you generate a lot of advantage. And you can continually replenish your field by just calling units and things like that. And your opponent literally is just trying to slow your hand down, but literally what every single time that I play this deck, that because I literally only lost with this once because I just drew absolutely terrible, and my Aura Geyser checks were absolutely terrible. Literally, you just go Aura Geyser, use his skill, Aura Geyser, use his skill, Abyss. So literally, they've had to deal with 2 Aura Geyser attacks, 2 columns, you know, plus the early game that you might have done to them. And then here comes Abyss. And even if you can only get one of these out on the field, that's still something because you're minusing them even more. So that is the gist of my Shadow Paladin deck. So anyway, guys, that is my Claret Sword Abyss deck. That's it. I really enjoy playing this deck, guys. It's a lot of fun because it's, again, not the standard that you see. I have not seen one other person try to mix Claret and Abyss, and I don't know why. Because Claret helps you generate a field, and like I've said, you don't need an entire board of Revengers to get this off. You literally just need a column and a booster, so as I like to call it, an L. You just need an L of Revengers. So, but literally, guys, the only thing that's going to change in the G deck is I'm literally going to turn the Blizza. Well, it's going to be between these 3 cards. 2 of them are going to become dams. I'm going to play at least 1 Grim Recruiter. You know, I might drop these 2 for 2 damned. I might drop these 2 for 2 damned. But it's probably going to be these 2 if I had to guess. So anyway, guys, that is my Claret Sword Abyss deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you didn't exit the video and run off and scream that it would never work without at least hearing my explanation. It works for me, and that's the only person it really has to work for, but I do encourage you. I'm using this deck profile to show you guys. I encourage you to try things that do not seem like they should mix. You know, and if someone tells you that a certain deck idea of yours can't work, keep messing around with it until you find a way to make it work, just so you can shove it in their face and tell them that they were wrong. So anyway, guys, in the comment section below, please tell me, what do you think of this deck? Were you surprised by it? Did you find it interesting? Just give me your opinions. And I also have a nice Aura Geyser SP. So anyway, guys, which I'm really proud of. I really, really like this card. But I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I hope you guys listened to my explanation and explained why I like it. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy playing it. And to be honest, guys, I did miss playing Shadow Paladin because I really do love Shadow Paladin. I do have another version of this deck that would be cheaper to build. You still play Claret as the main boss, but it does not play Abyss. If you would like to see the other Claret deck that I do have, and I have a list for, I just haven't literally just put the cards together, let me know. And it plays a lot more of the new support. Now, and I'll be doing both versions of it too when the Damned comes out, because in the other version of this deck that plays Claret and whatever the other card is, because I'm not going to tell you what it is unless some of you guys want to see it, you do play more of the support from the Legend deck. You play the Trumpeter, you can play Sharon, you can play Matcha, you can play more of that stuff. But in this deck, it isn't needed. But if you would like to see the other version of the deck, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll do it for you. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. I hope you gave it thought, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts were. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up this video for me, and I'll see you next time.